Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, Luann Nigara. Luann has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. Luann brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today is yet another episode where I get the pleasure of interviewing a friend of mine. We started out after Rachel Moriarty introduced us, and you guys all know Rachel. I talk about her on the show enough. And we were friends on Facebook, and then we met in real life this past September in Atlanta at America's Mart. And then I was on their podcast, and now Dixie is on my podcast. So, of course, I'm talking about Dixie Willard of Designing Dixie. Dixie is a formerly trained interior designer who started her journey studying engineering. She loves interior architecture and construction sites, and she does all the things that you designers do: run projects, help clients, work with charities, and everything in between. But Dixie is also partners with Rachel in their Design and Style community. Design and Style community is a podcast. It is a Facebook group, it is a membership group, and it is the place to be if you want real help with how to make your interior design firm more visible. This is their lane. Dixie and Rachel help you learn how to distinguish yourself from all the noise that's out there and how to help you not feel awkward doing it. If you are a longtime listener, you've heard me talk about Rachel and Dixie before, and this is because I am absolutely so impressed by what they do and the way they do it. Listen in today as Dixie explains how she and Rachel met a few years ago as strangers when they each joined an interior design mastermind. You've been hearing me tell you all along in these last couple of weeks about the interior design mastermind I'm launching in January. And I keep saying to you, on top of the chance to get some real-time advice on how to run your firm, on top of the chance to build some accountability for your 2018 goals, you also get the chance to meet 7 other interior designers. And maybe, just like Dixie and Rachel, you'll find one that you click with, that you stay connected with, and together you each help each other grow and achieve things that you never imagined, just the way that it happened for Dixie and Rachel. Rachel and Dixie approach interior design from different sides of the brain, and they are here to show you there is no right or wrong way to be a designer. Whether you are formally trained with lots of letters behind your name like Dixie, or you come to the design industry organically after decades of working as a creative stylist like Rachel, you'll just love hanging out with them as they chat about all things design and the business side of being a solopreneur. One thing I do know that Rachel and Dixie agree on is My Doma Studio. Like me, they believe in My Doma Studio and how easy it is to use this platform, and how it can be a game changer for your interior design business. You can create mood boards, create invoices, communicate with both your clients and your vendors all in one easy-to-use platform. And the truth is, one of the best features of My Doma isn't even on the platform itself. It is the customer service support that is available to you to help you learn everything you need to know, every feature available, so you can get up and get running quickly, and you can let My Doma get working for you. please visit mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed-business for your offer as a listener of the podcast. Now, let me introduce you to Dixie. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. And hi, Dixie Willard. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How are you, lady?
I'm fabulous. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
First of all, I want to say I did do the introduction, and all of you know about Dixie's community that she has. She has a podcast with Rachel Moriarty, which I went through the whole thing in the introduction. But the thing about it is, you know, Dix, we have listeners. I'm sure your podcast is the same in 120 countries. And so we feel like, hey, everybody knows you. Rah, 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 like that's Dixie, right? But there are like lots of listeners that are what are looking and listening and going, what is she talking about? Who's Dixie and why do I care, right? So
right.
We're going to change that today.
Yeah.
So now we're going to introduce you to the greater global community of interior designers. So get ready, okay? So the thing is, and Dixie and I discussed it. We are going to talk in great depth about their podcast and how it came to be and her partnership with Rachel. But I wanted to just take 10 or 15 minutes and talk about you, Dixie, your business, and you as a person, because I know that you prefer to focus on the other for this interview, but it's my show. So we get
That's fair enough, I suppose.
Okay. So the thing is, Dix, that first of all, you graduated with honors from your interior design education, like magna cum laude or summa cum laude.
Summa.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness, lady. Okay. And you come to interior design from a background and a love of engineering and architecture first. So here's what happens. I think I did know that pretty early on, because pretty early in your podcast with Rachel, you guys would talk about how you love that side and Rachel loves the other side. But there's one thing to know that you have an affinity or a love for it. And there's another thing to know that, you know, you really are pretty smart lady over there is the point, you know? So, I mean, yeah. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes. And I also noticed that you are NCIDQ certified. And my understanding is that's not a very easy thing to do, is it? Tell me a little bit about that. I've never really asked anybody about it.
So at least when I took it, and I'm not up to date on what all of the standards are right this second, but when I took it a few years ago, you had to have a certain number of educational hours. Like if you had a degree, it had to have a certain number of interior design credits, and then you had to work a certain number of hours before you were even eligible to think about taking the test. Okay. At that point, you can take it. It's a 2-day exam. It takes a ton of studying. It covers just about, you know what they don't cover? They don't cover which color is going to look best with which other one. It's all about codes and business practices and all of the nuts and bolts of your business.
Okay.
And the fun stuff is kind of not even mentioned.
Okay. So now that's, you know, it's so funny because my whole premise of the podcast is this gap in the education of an interior designer about how to run a successful business. And look, I've said it on the show before. I've been schooled by Dr. Ellen Fisher, who is the Dean of New York School of Interior Design. And, you know, she very rightfully explained to me that, you know, you have X amount of years and hours to teach an interior design student everything from commercial to hospitality to, you know, all of this other stuff. And so she basically said, Luann, yes, there's a semester or two on business, but it's an interior design program, right? So I get that, but this seems like that missing piece. And why do you think it is that look, I've been interviewing and researching designers for 270 some episodes, and I've only seen that accreditation on probably under 10 designers.
Really?
I think, unless maybe it's not front and center on their websites, but I don't know. When I saw it on your website, when I was getting ready for the show, I thought, you know, like, that's my point. I want to like, geez, Dix, you got a lot of things going on that we don't know about here. So how do you study for that if it's so much all of those other things, the business principles and the business practices and the codes? Is it like an SAT book, like you do it as self-study?
Pretty much. They do put out a book like that, and then they recommend other books that you can read. So I read all of the books that I had had in school. I'd gotten all of the updates. I did a lot of other stuff. They have classes. ASID at the time offered a fabulous, phenomenal preparation class. It
Okay.
was hands down the best money I spent
Okay.
getting ready for the test. And then, yeah, you just have to, you can, oh, and there's a drawing element too. So you have to practice your space planning and
Okay.
your cabinetry and all of that. And
Okay.
just practice.
So if you were talking right now with a young interior designer rather than me, and she said, can I just pick your brain and ask you some questions? And I'm just graduating design school. And that designer said to you, do you think I should think about taking this test and have this on my resume and do this? What would you say, Dixie?
I would ask that interior designer what she plans to do.
Okay.
For most design, like what I do right now, I don't need it.
Okay.
If you're going into commercial, absolutely 100%, I suggest you get it. It's going to give you a phenomenal foundation. It's actually used by most states for their registration. If you've passed the NCIDQ, then that's the test that they use to measure whether or not you can be a registered interior designer.
Okay. Okay. So I like that because it starts with what I always say. What's your why?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do it? What are your plans? And therefore I'll let you know if I think it's valuable. So it's good. So the thing is that it's something that you have in your back pocket, which is really pretty prestigious and I like it. And of course, since your particular design firm, you really do like to do renovations and all of that stuff. The information is good for you, I would think. It sounds
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but depending on the type of design that you want to do, although if a lot of it is business related, I guess there's easier ways to learn about business. I mean, but that sounds like a valuable part of the test.
And that part of it actually doesn't make up a huge part of it.
Okay.
But knowing what's out there is really helpful. Of course, my husband calls me a perma student because I tend to go back to school all the time. And I actually went back after I had my design degree, after I'd passed the NCIDQ, I went back to school and started working on a business degree.
Okay. Well, that was smart. Good for you.
So,
no wonder you're so successful.
Yeah,
See?
I have that extra layer in there.
Good for you, Dixie. So I see, these are the things I didn't necessarily know about you, but what I love is when I learn them, they don't surprise me because you're very successful. I mean, you guys are creating something really special on top of your interior design firm. You know what I mean? And I was looking at your website and your work is beautiful. So you're very talented and I'm happy that, to know the background part, truthfully. Cool. All right. Okay. So now, a little bit more about your illustrious past here that I thought was interesting. And I did hear you guys talk about this when you two interviewed Sandra from House of Funk Design in Montclair and New York. And you said that you were all Ethan Allen alum. And that was funny because I knew that Sandra was, and I knew that Rachel was, but I didn't hear all. And Rachel made the statement. So I thought that they meant the two of them, but you're an Ethan Allen alum.
I am too.
As well.
I am.
It's a good cutting ground, right? A good teaching ground. The same thing for a young designer. You would say there's benefit there to coming up through something like that.
Absolutely. And I did it a little backwards. I passed the NCIDQ before I went to work for Ethan Allen.
Okay.
Not quite the normal way of doing things, but yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those things where it was a practice ground for having my own firm.
Right. Right. Well, and the other thing that I noticed is that you were a designer and a bookkeeper for a high-end furniture firm. So that's where I was like, well, this is why she's got everything so locked down. So tell us a little bit about the experience about being the bookkeeper at a high-end design furniture firm.
It was one of those things where I knew how to use a computer. And so I got to use the computer that we had. It's a large store in terms of square space. It's a small store in terms of the number of employees. And so I just kept track of all of the accounts receivable, making sure that all of the orders got put on there. I made all of the price tags so I understand, margins and all of that. And it was such good practice for being able to go out on my own.
Have you discussed these experiences in your group, Dixie? Have you shared these things with the people in your group? Are they aware of the level of this experience that you have?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you should talk about it a little bit more. No, I mean,
You and Rachel both.
Rachel agrees with me. Yes, yes. Well, because it sounds like to me that, of course, you're doing a fabulous job teaching the visibility, and I watch the strides that the members of your group are making. It's amazing, and it's just
Isn't it?
so fun to watch. It really, truly is, and the things that they're all coming up with. But I think that there's I think I absolutely know that there's value there in these other experiences that you have.
Hmm.
And explaining the importance of coming from a background where you were responsible for the bookkeeping and setting up, maybe not setting of the margins, but you worked within and understood them intimately, as
Right.
opposed to just like, that's the price of the sofa, go sell it to the lady. You
Right.
understood what the net cost on that piece of goods was, and what you were supposed to, your goals for making profit on it were.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'm just going to have to keep doing my best to drag it out of you, you know?
Well, I will say one other thing that came out of that experience is anytime I go to a retail store and put in an order for furniture, they love me because I have all of the line items. I have the arm style, the seats, cushion, all of every single possible line. And if there's nothing, I mark down that there's no need for that.
Oh,
So they just, they do appreciate that.
that is nice. Well, because you know the way that it should be done so that it's done
Mhm.
well. And so you continue to do it that way, even when you order for your own clients.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. All right. So, and it's funny because I'm getting a little bit now. One of the things that you guys say in your bios is that you're both introverts.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting that a little bit for the first time. I'm just going to call you out on it.
Yes.
Because I keep bringing up really fabulous things that you've accomplished, and you keep giving me 1 and 2 word answers. Usually I give somebody a prompt to talk about themselves and they're off to the races.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, okay. And literally a half hour ago, I read that line, oh, you might be surprised to know that we're both introverts. And I thought, yes, I would be surprised to know that. And now I'm like, oh no, maybe it's true.
Yeah. It really is. I can pretend not to be,
Mm,
but my comfort level is, having my own little cubby hole, and and that's why Rachel keeps pushing me to share more of my information, is because I like having that level of not not quite privacy, but just,
right. Well,
I
you're
guess,
just,
privacy between
yes.
me and the rest of the world.
Yes. I guess that's really the heart of an introvert. It's like, stay out of my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay over there. I'm good right here without you.
It's why we have 14 acres so that I don't have to see people.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay. So, and that's another part of your background, that is that you are an Army brat, that was it your father or father and mother, or mother, who was it?
Both of my parents were in the Air Force, and
Okay.
then
Oh,
my
Air Force.
after my husband and I had been married a couple of years, he joined the Air Force. So Air
Yeah,
Force
your
brat,
whole
Air
life.
Force wife. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Air Force brat, not
Hmm.
Army. Okay. And interestingly, you have 2 grown daughters. I'm wondering, are either of them old enough at the age where they're making and finding their partners for life yet? Or I don't know how old they are.
Yep. Yep. My girls are 22 and 25.
Okay.
And my older daughter, Taylor, is married. She's been married a year and a half.
Okay. Any
That
chance
sounds
that
right.
she's married to somebody in the military?
No.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if either of your daughters were repeating this.
No, no, it doesn't look like it. The younger one has had the same boyfriend for, gosh, I can't even tell you how long. Those two have been together. So
Okay, 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 all right. So I was just curious if it was going to go generation 3.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Okay. And tell me about, is there anything in particular that comes to your mind when you think about the experience of being an Air Force brat and now an Air Force wife, that informs or makes something on your outlook or on your resilience or lack of resilience? What is it that what would you say?
I have learned how to be strategic when I move somewhere new, which actually is what I did when we moved here and I started my business.
Right.
But how to be strategic about looking around and going, okay, I need to have a community around me. Where's the best way to, what's the best way to start building that? Where do I need to be? Who do I need to talk to? And even though I am very much an introvert, I get out there and I meet people and I talk to them because I'm an introvert, but I don't need to be alone. Bad things happen if I'm all alone. I turn into the crazy lady in the woods. It's not pretty.
Dicks. You got your moonshine and you're in the woods.
Yes.
You give me.
Yeah, it's not a good look on me. So
okay. So that's interesting. So you've not only learned the skill of coming into a new place, assessing its viability for building community, but you've learned the skill of building community despite your not regular, what's your innate nature to be just happy within your core family, probably.
yep, that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. And so, all right. So, and how long you moved to Tennessee and started this business? I know that I know some of this from Atlanta, but the rest of the world doesn't know. So, so how long ago did you move to Tennessee?
2 years ago.
So it's 2 years and you restarted your business in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have you had the design business?
I had it, but it was a side hustle in Oklahoma. Here it's my main hustle. Yeah.
Okay. It's your gig.
It is. And we decided, my husband had retired from the Air Force, and we kind of looked at each other and said, we've always planned to move to East Tennessee when we get done. Why are we still here? So from the time that we looked at each other to the time we moved here was about a month and a half.
Oh.
The only people we knew after we moved were each other.
Whoa.
We didn't know one person here. So
wow.
we've been able to, just like I said, that ability to move somewhere new, not know anybody except who you came with, and meet people and build a community. That's what I do.
That's what you did. And that's what you learned from running. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so is your husband working now also, or is he fully 100% retired? Like, did he start another thing?
He lasted being fully retired for a year.
Yeah. Cause you I don't know how old he is, but you look like you're about like 30. So, I mean, you have to be older than that if you have a 22-year-old, but that was like, what? Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's too young to sit around, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So he went back to work, tried something new. He's working on dental equipment, which is a far cry from aircraft and weather radars, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Okay. All righty. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. All right, Dick. So let's talk about your design and style community. So tell me, first of all, you and Rachel, you met through an online interior design marketing mastermind. So you were both strangers when you went to that group, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because I have no idea now that I'm going to be train myself to say recently on the podcast, I was just saying in one of my descriptions, because I have masterminds that are forming in the beginning of January for interior designers. And one of the things that I was saying about it is that you really, yes, you're going to come to this mastermind every week and you're going to learn something and you're going to be pushed out of your box a little bit and your wings are going to be stretched and you're going to make strides in your business that are so valuable. But the other thing you're going to do is almost everybody comes away with really terrific, respectful, caring, devoted friendships, right? Mm-hmm. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so you are living proof of that. And I've seen it proven over and over. So you were in this mastermind together. And was that when you were in Oklahoma still? I feel like it was in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Because I feel like I remembered or either heard or saw Rachel talking about you and you were still in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is crazy that it's like, I know you guys this long at this point, right? So funny. So, okay. So tell us a little bit about the experience, Dixie, just the experience of being in a mastermind, of the what you gain from it and how your friendship with Rachel blossomed from it.
Well, the mastermind is just valuable because you learn so stinking much. There's so much information that's in there. The one that we were in had extra trainings all the time. You could go at your own pace a little bit. There were regularly set up things, but you could go a little bit at your own pace and kind of really dig into the things that you needed. So the one that we were in was for marketing, which was super valuable.
Okay, good.
And then Rachel and I just kind of, we would comment on the same posts. We would kind of play back and forth, just play off of each other with our comments. And we were having so much fun that eventually, and it was actually right after we moved to Tennessee that she said, we should start chatting. And so we started chatting, and we'd have Skype dates. It was really strange to tell my husband I have a date on the phone with somebody that I've never met.
Right.
He was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we just started bouncing ideas off of each other. And eventually it got to the point where we realized that the things that we were most challenged by, we actually helped each other on. But it was also the same thing that we saw everybody else around us having problems with. So Rachel said, let's start recording this.
So
and we
smart.
did. We had so much fun. We thought surely other people will enjoy this too. And if not,
Whatever.
We didn't put a lot of thought into it. We just said, okay, we're going to hit record today instead of not hitting record.
Isn't that something? It's so, and the thing is though, that I mean, we talked about it. I was recently on your podcast. So if anybody's listening and hasn't listened to Dixie and Rachel's podcast, it's Design and Style Podcast. And just last week I was on your podcast. Well, again, recently I was on your podcast. Okay. And, we talked about that. You guys shared with me how in the beginning, you were sort of like, hey, design podcast by designers, for homeowners, for design enthusiasts, and I said to you guys during our interview, I remember seeing that and I thought, no, ixnay on that for everybody. But nobody asked my opinion and I'm not in charge of the world. I've learned that. And so, but you really did find your way. You really did. And it was like an organic thing, right? Because like you guys described how you little by little realized what you were each doing for each other centered around the word visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then there was the one episode where I said, let's do a visibility challenge. I declare we're going to do a visibility challenge. And that kind of just exploded everything.
That's right. That was the beginning of the whole thing going nuts. Mm-hmm. Yes. Tell us a little bit about the visibility challenge, your first one, because you've done many since then. But give us any one that you thought was particularly fun or particularly, because a lot of people listening have no idea who you are yet and they're not in the group. So, and of course they can join the group, right? The group is an open group. And so all they have to do is come to Facebook, search Design and Style, right? And then ask to join. They have to be a designer, Dix?
We encourage them to be a designer, but we've got all kinds of different creative entrepreneurs in the group.
Okay. So that's good to know. So creative entrepreneurs. Okay. Awesome. I like that because that's the same with me. I say interior design, but as long as you're in the creative field, it's probably all works for you.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So describe for all of us listening, one of the particular challenges that you've had that, was particularly fun or productive.
So we broke it down to just something small every day. Because we talk about being visible, not just making sure, you're doing your social media stuff and you have your website and you're showing your work. That's part of it. But we also have you need to go out and talk to human beings part of it too.
Yeah.
So we broke it down and it was something like one day was, just post an introduction. Let's start small. Just here in the group, post who you are, what you do, just a little. If you want to make it a video,
world, but just to the group, right? Just to the
group. It doesn't have to be a live video. It can be a picture. It can be whatever you want. The next day it was, okay, now we want you to think about something that you can go out and do in your community and name it.
Okay.
Commit to doing it. You don't have to go out and do it today, but find something.
And put it on the calendar and tell us you're going to do it. Okay.
And then after we had done several of these, then we started talking about, okay, now you need to double up. So if you go out and do something in person, make sure you get a picture or, something for your Instagram stories or something behind the scenes, a day in the life of a designer.
Right.
There's no need to do extra work.
Right.
you can just, while you're there, snap a couple of pics and you're ready to go for all of your Facebook and Instagram posts, or maybe even a blog post.
Right. Okay. I have to say, I have watched a lot of these challenges and, see the interaction in the group. And I have learned some interesting things watching and reading the observations and the experiences of the designers in your group as they tackle their challenges. So certain things come to mind where there was one post where somebody was talking about how she must have, or he, I don't recall which, decided to go to some sort of, like you said, commit to going to something out in the community. And I feel like, I want to say there was like bad weather that day on top of it. Like the person really was anxious about going, was doing it strictly because of the challenge, understood the greater good for their interior design firm to be known and to start to get known in the community, but it wasn't what they would like to do. And as a good soldier that has made a commitment, is like, I'm going to do it. And literally was having second thoughts the entire ride to the place. I feel like there was traffic or there was weather, and then all the way to getting there in the parking lot and still not wanting to do it, and then walking through the door and doing it. And honestly, I don't recall if it ended up being, if there was any happy ending. I don't recall, because I was so taken with the real struggle of the getting there.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was very real.
And I can relate because that's something I do every single time. I had a chamber thing this morning and I woke up and went, well, I don't really have to go. I do it all the time. I am
and you're
a chamber ambassador.
Right.
Yeah. And I still go,
I
don't want to go. But it was great because I helped somebody that I am the ambassador for meet some other people that might be good for his business. And it really makes you feel good to help other people make connections. And it was good I needed to get out, and I'm glad I went. Yes. But yeah, I drove up going, I don't want to go.
Yes. That's it. It was, that was a very significant thing for me to read that post and to see the real struggle and the triumph of the designer who went and walked through the door.
And I feel like that particular story did have a happy ending.
Did it?
It was, I went, I really didn't want to go, but it was worth it.
Okay.
It was, and that's the story that we hear quite a bit. And it doesn't matter if it's the online visibility or the in-person visibility. Everybody says, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Right. Once they finally do it, it's the getting ready to do it that's the hardest part.
Yes.
And that's why, especially for the online, if you want to practice live videos, our group is the perfect place to start practicing, because we all get it. And it is, I don't know about you, but I have so much fun watching the metamorphosis of the people who
the growth, the transformation.
Yeah, they start and it is awkward. And we all, oh my gosh, if you could see my first videos, they were just terrible.
Right.
And to be able to see every little step as this person posts one more, how much more confident, and they figure out where the camera needs to be, and they figure out where to look, and they figure out the lighting that they need, and they stop worrying and start just doing.
Yes, it's remarkable. And I can relate, because like you said, if you looked at your first videos, you're not happy with. It's like my first, I literally have not re-listened to the first 10 or 12 podcasts because I will not. It's like, I will not. And the crazy thing is I don't have any idea if I would actually on reflection listen to them and grade them as bad. I have no idea, but I don't have the guts to listen to them, so it doesn't matter. And it's so funny because every once in a while somebody will find the podcast new. This happened maybe over the summer. Somebody came new to the podcast and found it, and he or she messaged me on one of the platforms and was like, I just found your podcast. I love it so much. I went right back to one and I'm working my way through. And I was like, could you start at like 15? And of course I didn't say that, you know what I mean? But I was like thinking, and the only reason I wouldn't say it is because those first guests were all very good and they have all valuable lessons, but I'm sort of like, yikes, like it is just the proof of anything you do. It doesn't matter. It's interior design, it's video, it's podcasting, it's anything. It's whatever you do over and over again, you're bound to get better at it. I mean, you know
Right.
what I mean? And so, and you're right, your group is a very supportive place to do that and to kind of get your feet wet a little bit. And it's remarkable, some of the things. Is it your group that just this weekend, I see part of me wants to use names because I want people to get shout outs. But on the other part, I'm thinking it's not anybody's business. So I don't know. But I'll say the story and you'll decide if it's okay for the shout.
Okay.
One of the designers posted in there that she was at the Lowe's, I think, in her yoga pants. And they came up to her and said, they were complete strangers. They came up to her and said, we've been watching your Facebook Live videos. You look like you're perfect for us. We are about to start a renovation, and we are going to call you to come out and be our designer.
Yeah. And we've actually had several stories like that. People who say, you know, I was out at Target and they heard my voice from the next row over and were like,
Right.
oh my gosh, it's you. I love you. Can you help me?
Isn't that's beyond comprehension to me. That's amazing.
To me too.
That is amazing. Not beyond comprehension that you would watch some of these videos and then understand and know that you could work with this designer, but just that you're reaching your market with such saturation
Right.
with Facebook Live videos that your greater community recognizes you by voice and by face. It's like, what? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, but it's I know for Rachel and for me, it's super exciting to hear all of these stories because that's what we want. We want to help other entrepreneurs get out there and get known.
Yes, it's really something else. And I know the other one was Wendy, and I'm fine to call Wendy out because she posted the picture with her client, Wendy Wallace, right?
Yes.
Right. So, and the other one I know posted in the group. So even though it's a visibility group, I guess she has the the say on if we out or not. So, but I mean, and the thing is, there's nothing negative there. It's just not my place to say the name. So that's all. But okay. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about, I know that you do these challenges. I know that you have this support, but what else is happening in your community that you want people listening to understand that they can look to find and get if they want to come and join your group?
So one of the things that Rachel and I have started doing, we've kind of been beta testing it, and we're going to really start opening it up here over this month, is our membership group. And we call it the Visibility Lab.
Oh,
because we have Design and Style University where we put little courses up and you can take them. But the lab is, you know, where you put things into practice. You actually test things out. And this is our answer to all of those people who say, how do you do it all?
okay.
We don't. So for the Visibility Lab, we're taking a certain amount of our time and specifically going to schedule it to just take care of those people. We do an office hour every week. We have an extra master class, and then we have a visibility support session every month. So we really help hands-on there in the Visibility Lab, more so than we can in the larger just Design and Style podcast group at large.
So it sounds like that will be obviously a paid membership community.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
I love it. That's awesome. So if you want the tips and the encouragement and the general feedback that comes from all of the members at large in the regular community, terrific. But it sounds like if you want some more one-on-one, like I want to talk about me time and how to work this for my business, then that's where you would join the membership.
Right. And then we are also going to have just one-on-one sessions where you can work with just Rachel, just me, or with both of us.
Okay. Okay. And so that's launching when you say this month, December?
December.
Okay.
December. Yep.
All right. This is your anniversary, right? Right now?
We started the group technically started November 29th of 2016. So the group is a year old, and our first podcast episode went out the first Tuesday of this year. So we are almost there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's so crazy.
And we have a very special episode planned for our first one in 2018. We're going to be interviewing, I guess I can tell you about this. I'm going to spill the beans.
Oh, goody.
I'm sure I'm sure by the time you put this out, it'll be out anyway, but we're going to talk to members of our group and have them tell their stories and all of the exciting stuff that has happened for them over the past year.
What an awesome visibility podcast idea.
We are so excited.
That is so good. I love that, Dixie. That is such a great idea. So you're just going to cut together conversations from several different designers sharing their story and their information and the lessons they've learned.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love it. That's good for you. Good for you. All right. So what else do we want to tell everybody about this Design and Style podcast? Now, okay, so let's go to the podcast a little bit. The podcast, you are, you're not just talking about, well, I guess you have skewed it down. You've niched it down to visibility. Yeah, it's really awesome. So no matter what guests you have, you're figuring out something about them and the way they're being visible. So like with Sandra Funk, when you spoke with her, you talked about her wine and design on Wednesdays, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we got to go on wine and design, which was so much fun.
Do you know, I haven't seen that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, not for nothing, but I think I recorded my wine and design with Sandra. I want to say it was October 11th. I remember it. I only watched it for the first time a week ago.
Well, it's not like you have anything else going on.
But it's just so funny because I was so much fun. And part of it is I lived it. So I was like, well, that was fun. I did it. And then whatever reason, about a week or so ago, I don't know why, it must have come across my feed. I was looking for something and I came across it in my feed. And I was like, I never watched this. And I was like, I really went to look at it and think, oh, I'm going to watch 5 minutes and I'm going to be like, I'm not a repeat person to begin with, not for nothing, but like the most amazing movies on the planet will come through again on Netflix or whatever. My husband will be like, oh, Air Force One or what? Now I got Air Force on my brain, right? It was a great movie. Let's watch it again. I'm like, we saw it. Like, I don't do repeats.
Yep.
And so, I saw it and I thought, I'll watch the first couple of minutes. And because we start out literally cracking up. So that's what's really funny. And it caught my attention. I was like, oh my God, that was hysterical. And then the next thing I know, I sat there for an hour and watched it. And what was funny was then I posted it. I said, can you believe it's like 2.5 months and I'm finally watching this? And by total coincidence, like an hour later, it came in the Instagram feed on House of Funk's feed. And I was like, and that was just me and Sandra in sync. Because I didn't see it in her feed and then go watch it. And she didn't know. I just said, is this another one of our coincidences? We have so many wiggy things like that, funny. Sandra and I. Yes, we have lots of wiggy synchronicities like that. So it was funny. But anyway, so no, I haven't seen the one where you guys were on her show. Okay, so what did you talk about on Wine and Design on her show?
I think... I haven't rewatched mine either.
See, there you go. I'm not so different.
No, not really. I think we talked about things that you should know if you want to hire a designer, because hers is more client facing, where ours is more designer facing.
Right, so. Right. Okay. All right. And then you guys have this little design and moonshine thing that you did in Tennessee.
We did. In fact, we enjoyed that so much. We've done it a couple of times. We have plans to do it again in the future. And then, so for anybody who doesn't know, Rachel and I met for the first time when she flew out to Tennessee, where I live, to be part of our visibility conference, our first ever visibility conference. And she stayed at my house. So it's a good thing we do like each other because this total stranger that I've never met in person came and stayed at my house.
Right.
But I took her moonshine tasting. And so we went out, cause you can do that all over the place here. We found a couple of places to taste, bought some, brought it back, and then sat down together on my sofa and just did a live video in the group.
Isn't that something? Now, Dix, where you live, is it near a big city like Nashville, or is it like, I know you're in a rural home where your home is, but is there an adjacent city that's pretty, metropolitan, or is it like
I'm right by Knoxville.
Okay.
Right by Knoxville.
Because I'm just picturing Rachel in a small community in Tennessee.
I took her into the Smoky Mountains and
like
she
people
had
go,
a blast.
What?
Yes.
Who
Yes.
is that lady with all those beautiful colors on her and all those scarves?
And everybody loved her.
I'm sure she's infectious.
Absolutely
And
loved her.
not love her, but
Mhm.
she certainly doesn't have like the hiker boots on and the denim blue jeans and the fur vest on.
No, no.
You know,
Not your typical hiker, backwoods type person, I would say.
no, exactly. Right. Oh man. So tell us a little bit about the Visibility Conference. What did you do? I mean, share with everybody what you did on the conference so that they all understand.
So we had a couple of speakers. Rachel was one, I was one, and then we had a third keynote speaker who talked about mindset for visibility. Rachel talked about ways that you can focus on your online visibility. I talked about ways that you could go out and talk to other people in person, get to know people in your community. We're both big on service projects. Community service is huge for us. That's a big part of mine. So we talked through, all of that kind of stuff, had our mindset speaker, and it was a lot of fun. We had people in person. We had virtual tickets that we sold. So we had people watching.
And when you did the virtual ticket, was it the sort of thing that you were able to technology wise have them join you live virtually, or you did? Wow.
We did. And we
I
even
need
had
Dixie
questions
in
and
my life.
answers virtually.
I need a Dixie in my life. I'm just saying. Rachel's so lucky that she has you to do all this tech.
Well, and then I'm the one today whose computer is going, I hate you. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Oh my goodness. Tell me about your service projects. I've seen the Facebook posts about the community projects. Tell all of us about it so we understand what you're doing.
Okay. So I don't know the specifics about all of the things that Rachel does. She does her own things and she does a lot of them. The two things that I do most, there is a group here called Restoration House, and they provide transitional housing for extreme low income single mother families. And it's for women who are bordering on homelessness, and they provide them not only the transitional housing, but also all kinds of support, emotional support. They have ally teams just for the emotional support for the family. They teach parenting classes. They teach how to cook, all of the basics that you think you would know, but you just don't. They
Right.
teach, they help. If they need after school care, they take care of that. If they need seriously just about anything you can imagine, they've got it. And they are currently expanding from 8 units to 24.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually they were on Extreme Makeover Home Edition a couple of years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so they are centered right in your area where
Mhm.
you live in Tennessee.
Yep,
And so
they're
they
in
have,
Knoxville.
okay, so they have 8 homes there where these women and their children can come and live. Okay. And they're expanding to 24 homes.
Mhm.
And you volunteer. I feel like I've seen you like with a sledgehammer and a hammer in your hand. Like, I mean, you're not just designing stuff, you're like working, right?
Well, no sledgehammer, although that would be fun.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm thinking of when I saw you rappelling on something.
Yes, I
That's
did the
another
rappelling for them. They're the ones, it was a fundraiser. I rappelled
Okay.
down a 12-story building.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about that in just one second. So go back to, so what do you do from the design capacity for this organization?
So one of my dreams has been since I first had the inkling that I wanted to be a designer was to be able to help people who needed to have that comfort of coming home, have a home, because they've got a place to live. That's what the Restoration House provides. I'm helping them have it as a home. So a little bit more conscious about decor, about things that are practical, ways that we can make it comfortable and homey, and really, because some of these people haven't had a home to come home to in a long, long time.
Right.
And
So
it's just that stability for the kids.
right. And so is it a combination of women and children that are like leaving in the middle of the night from an abusive situation and also coming from the street? So the inhabitants are coming from 2 different walks and 2 different types of tragedies.
Probably even more than that.
Yeah.
They've got just a whole realm of issues that happen, and they give them the tools to just go back. They're restoring hope. That's kind of the whole premise. They're restoring them to the possibilities that they have in life.
Well, and that's really what it is, because if the circumstances of your life have never had the stars and planets line up that you actually experience a safe, secure, nice environment, you almost get to a point where you can't even imagine it could ever happen for you,
Right.
right? So
Right.
this makes it real so that it's something that they want to achieve and something that they
Mhm.
instills, like you said, hope. And I would think a certain amount of drive and a certain amount of like, okay, I know what it feels like now. I want more of that
Mhm.
for myself and my kids, right?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
And most of the residents are there for about 2 years.
Oh,
So
that's a good long time to get on your
it's
feet.
exactly, it's everything you need to get that good
Oh,
foundation started and get out there. I mean, even they help with learning how to write a budget for
right.
yourself,
Well,
pay
it's
bills.
it's like it's just like, the podcast. It's like, you can be an A student in interior design school and know everything about it, but if you don't know how to run your business side, you're probably, you might eventually be successful, but you're not going to be successful right away. And so this
Right.
is what you're saying and you're describing is it's true. Somebody that comes from a disadvantaged background probably doesn't really know how to cook. No mother cooked for her, or
Exactly.
right.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Hmm.
And I was curious how long that the transition is for. And I didn't know if you were going to say 2 months, 6 weeks, 6 months, but 2 years is a
Yeah.
nice long time to
Yeah.
really ingrain and teach and inspire someone to duplicate this process for themselves and their children. And what is that
Absolutely.
organization called again, Dixie?
The Restoration House of East Tennessee.
And are they national or is it just
Mm-mm.
there?
It's
Ah.
just here. There are other
That needs to
organizations
be
across the
duplicated.
country.
Okay, so there are things like
Mhm.
that?
In
Okay.
Dallas, there is Dwell with Dignity, and I think Dwell with Dignity is also in Atlanta. They hold a special place in my heart too. I did some research on them when I was studying business classes a few
I
years ago.
met somebody at Design Bloggers Conference a year ago that is they did an announcement. They did a little thing with Dwell with Dignity, or somebody in
Mhm.
our community, right? That is working very high up in that and organizing it. No? Do you know the
Yeah,
person's name?
I I
No.
used to know them off the top of my head, but I
Okay.
just don't
I
anymore.
I will make a note and put it in the show notes
Mhm.
because tell me if I'm right. Is Dwell with Dignity is an organization that designers from anywhere can get involved in, whereas yours is centric to Tennessee, or am I mistaken on that?
I think with Dwell with Dignity, it helps if you live. Well, they only have a couple of chapters
Okay.
because they've been very slow and purposeful about it, and they want to make sure that they have a repeatable model. But it's the
But they're
same
interesting
premise.
in repeating the model
Hmm.
is the point.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
then I would want to include that information.
Yes.
So for anybody listening might think, let me do this. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, I love that. That's like Susan Winterstein, Savvy Giving by Design, and she was on the show, and she does the renovation for a terminally ill child's
Yeah.
room. She does a redo of the child and their sibling, and she said on the show last year when she was on the show that her hope was that there would be more Savvy Giving by Design chapters across the country.
Hmm.
And so we said, okay, designers, if you want to do one. And
Yeah.
actually there's one, and the first one is in the works right now. The first
That's
satellite Savvy Giving
that's
by, yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
And
And
actually, that's the other service work that I do is for a group that does the same thing. It's for children who have experienced some sort of tragedy or trauma in their life.
okay. And what's that group called?
Kingdom Design Ministries.
Kingdom Design Ministries, and
Hmm.
also centric to your Tennessee
Yes, yes,
area. Okay.
specific to Blount County. They don't
Okay.
go too far out of that.
Okay. But you're decorating a room, you're designing a
Mhm.
room the way Susan is doing with
Some
her.
of it's decorating, some of it's we just did one over the summer where there wasn't any ADA access to the bathroom, and so
Oh.
the son hadn't been able to even just brush his teeth in the
Oh.
bathroom for years, and we made it completely accessible, redid his bedroom, put in an emergency exit so that he could get out. That
Whoa.
was another issue, and yeah.
Okay. That's awesome, Dixie, all these things that you're doing. And so now tell us about this repelling 12-story building. I saw that picture on Facebook. I almost fell over. First of all, I think it's so cool and I would totally love to do it myself, but I have no skills. Was it something that you had never done before? I mean,
Never done
that had
before.
to be
This year was my second year, and I've already signed up to do it again next year.
particularly, I mean, this isn't a ride at Disney. This is 12 stories on a real building. I think I
Mhm.
would have been like, could we do one story and give it a try? So
Well, the
tell
good news is they do let you practice on a ladder on the roof before you go down.
Okay. Okay. And so how long does it take to rappel 12 stories?
It is entirely up to whoever is rappelling. Some people take a long time. Some people enjoy going fast so much that they get down to the bottom, that would be me, and wish that they had thought to slow down and enjoy it because it was
Ah,
so much fun.
really? And
Yeah.
so you went down by your estimation quickly, and was
Hmm.
quickly 10 minutes, an hour? I have no concept of
Like
what.
2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Oh, you're
Yeah.
right. You do want to
Yeah.
go
It
a
was
little
super
slower next
fast.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said I was going to do that this time. And this time, actually, I went down in costume.
Oh, I
And
remember.
as an
Yes, yes.
extra added bonus, I was letting people choose my costume. I went as Rosie the Riveter.
I
And
know. That was
so
awesome.
I could hear the announcer talking about the fact that I was Rosie the Riveter. And so I did stop a couple of times and kind of give that, the pose, and that helped slow it down, but it went so fast.
You're remarkable. You're remarkable. That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool.
And I actually won the costume contest.
You did. Well, you looked
did.
exactly like Rosie the Riveter, honestly.
I worked hard, but yeah, and what made it even more special was it was the families who live at the restoration house who voted on the costume
Oh,
contest.
isn't that something?
So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so this restoration project that you do, is it like they're now built? So is it been that you've been involved in building all these 8 homes? Like the next project is at home, or is there renovation and redecoration and paint that gets involved? Because, it's a lot of wear and tear on a house. So what
Right.
do you do with it?
So they have units. They've got 6. It's an apartment, 6 units, and then they're repeating those 6 units, and they have a bungalow too with 2 units. But
Oh,
they're
like in an
repeating
apartment building, like.
they're
Oh, okay.
repeating that with 3 brand new units they're constructing right now.
And so does a woman who has, say a woman has 2 or 3 children, does she
Hmm.
have a unit to herself, or,
Hmm.
oh, she does?
Yeah,
So
it's basically she's got her own apartment, just
apartment that
like
somebody's
yeah.
helping her pay and subsidize and teach her and everything.
Hmm.
Okay, I was picturing communal living in a home. So like 3 or 4 mothers and a dozen
Nope.
kids running around and make
Nope.
me crazy.
It
Okay.
is a gated community, so that they work. It's beautiful to see all of the moms and families coming together and working together and supporting each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, they each have their own apartment where they raise their family, and sometimes they come with no furniture.
Okay.
Sometimes they come with a little bit of furniture. Sometimes they've got pretty much everything. But what I do is help to coordinate to make sure that everything they need is provided for.
Okay.
And then also the additional level of making sure it looks nice.
Very nice. Very nice, Dixie. Good for you. That's awesome. So tell me before I let you go, are there any particular stories that you can think of or incidences within your visibility group that were successes that you'd like to share? I mean, obviously without necessarily naming names if that's not appropriate, but can you think of some other wins that the group has had and the individual members have had, just to inspire people listening that maybe they're sitting there and they struggle with putting themselves out there, and maybe they identify like you as an introvert and think, if these girls are doing it, I could do it too. But to give them some, like you were talking about with restoration, give them some
Mhm.
hope, give them something to hang on to.
We have had, oh gosh, we've got so many wonderful ones, but we've got Laura Briscowie.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to murder her last name.
I know. I love
But
Laura. She's great.
she has got the sweetest smile. She's just so sweet.
She is.
And it's really interesting to see her go out, and she is putting herself out there both on Facebook and in person. She went to a conference for the first time, got to meet some people, and talking about getting resources for a blog that she's putting together as a color consultant. So she was talking to all different paint manufacturers and getting
Wow.
ideas, and it's been really fun to watch her blossom and grow. And it's so funny how many of us discount everything that we've done in the past, because she would say, I'm just a color consultant in a paint store. And she has got this wealth of information and knowledge in her head from everything else she's done. And she's not just a paint consultant, although
Right.
those are pretty important too.
That's right.
So we've had story after story of people saying, yeah, I started doing Facebook Lives and it's gotten me business.
And how about Kim? Kim is doing the weekly show every
Yeah.
Tuesday at 7:00,
Yeah,
right? I've been catching
exactly.
that lately. She's from your group as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yep.
so what is design chats, is she calling it?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like it's called Design Chats, and she's doing it Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Is that correct?
I believe so.
I feel like I know I watched it last night, and I feel like it would have been between 7 and 8 o'clock. But anyway, so that's Facebook. And I don't know her business name if somebody wants to find that show.
Barthelmess Design.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
Barthelmess Design. So if you're interested in what she's doing, is she's directing it to the consumer. She's having conversations about interior design with guests. And so last night's guest was a gentleman that is a realtor, and they were talking about from the standpoint of the realtor, how important it is to stage a home in order for it to sell quickly. So that's an outspring of being in your group, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something.
We've got people who have gotten business from going out and doing things in person that they never would have. Somebody got interviewed for a magazine they posted this week that the person had found them through ASID. And if they hadn't gone out to their design meetings and become a part of it, they never would have been, they never would have had that contact. It's all about the community that you build around yourself and being very purposeful and just making use of all of those connections.
Right. And I have to say, I know, and I've like I said in the beginning of the show, I do see through what the designers are saying that the struggle is very real, that they, if there's not your nature to walk into a room, that it's a very real thing. And it's can be a little paralyzing. I mean, and And the thing is, what I have often said to people, and we just did a coaching session with Nancy Ganskaufer, we did money, mindset, and sales, and it was 10 weeks. And, we talked a lot about mindset and about these types of things. And I always say is put yourself, like what you do as the ambassador, Dixie, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Don't just put aside your anxiety, put aside your self-consciousness. And I know that that's easier said than done, by the way. I'm not minimizing it. But if you think about the possibility is so real that the person that's standing 3 feet away from you is experiencing the same thing.
Yep.
And if you reach out and say hi first, that person's going to be like, oh, thank God you said
thank goodness I didn't have to do it. Yep.
Right.
Exactly. And the other thing that I think people need to remember is it's not a game to see who can get the most business cards or talk to the most people. That's not what it's, if you see somebody doing that, they're actually networking wrong.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is to make connections, meaningful connections. So if you can sit and have a chat with somebody, I just real quick as an example from today, there is a German restaurant owner here in town. And every time I see him and try and practice my German a little bit with him, I'm terrible. I'm awful about it.
Yeah.
But because the person that I was kind of showing around was there, they made a connection, and the nonprofit is probably going to get some benefit from talking to a group that the business owner had that he hosts at his restaurant every week.
Right. Well, I mean, and it's funny because right now, recently on the podcast, we had Remya Warrior, who talked about 7 tips for networking, and Rashida Gray from Gray Space Interior Design that happened to share a networking tip because her interior design firm is only 18 months old at the time of this recording, and she is has a full-time job in corporate world as a marketing specialist, and she's had 22 projects in 18 months from ground zero, opening her business. I mean, that's amazing, right? And so I was saying, so tell me how you did it. And so she shared a networking tip, and I'm going to just repeat both of them because they tie into what you're saying. One of the things that Remya shared was what you just said. She says she has this whole system for networking, 7 tips, and you have to listen to the show. It's amazing. Her tips are amazing. But one of them is to every day connect to other people. for no profit for yourself. Just connect to other people, because what it does is it just puts you in mind of that person. And I know what it does for me. When somebody does me a favor, now I'm looking for how I can do that favor back. Not that I'm like, I have to do it in a time limit. I don't have 24 hours. But the point is, I will always think, oh, they did a solid by me. What can I do back? I mean, with you guys, it's like I'm happy to sing your praises to the podcast because you guys are big supporters of me. So I'm always telling everybody about yours. And it's that sort of a thing. And so that was the one tip that is exactly what you just did this morning, is connect to people. And then the tip that Rashida did was that she said that whenever she goes to any type of networking or conference or meeting, no matter if it's design related or not, she always looks for an opportunity within the context of the meeting to ask a question. And when she asks the question, she raises her hand and she starts with, "Hi, I'm Rashida Gray, the owner of Gray Space Interior Design located in Philadelphia. I have a question for you." And she said that she did this at this big conference where Michelle Obama was the keynote speaker. And somebody came up to her during that conference and said, "Oh, you're an interior designer in the area. We're interested in an interior designer in the area." Now she's at a business conference. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So the thing is, these are very non-confrontational ways that I feel are very, I shouldn't say, I would think would be easier for introverted people to execute, right, Dix?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one other really small, quick piece of advice is, if the number of people at the event kind of intimidates you, get there early. The crowd can grow around you.
Okay.
And when you get uncomfortable, last just a little bit past that uncomfortableness, and then you can let yourself go. Whereas otherwise, if you show up late because you've been stalling the whole time and you didn't really want to go, you're going to get there. It's going to be this wall of people, and you're going to say, "See, I don't need to be here," and you're going to leave.
That sounds like you are talking from experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's such a great tip, especially like you said, if the big room filled with all these stranger faces is a tough view for you, to get there in the beginning and let the room fill around you. And it doesn't seem as intimidating as you're watching everybody fill in.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
love it. That's awesome. That's so good. I'm usually running in at the very last minute. That's my MO. It's like, okay, it's about to start. Get in there. I'm usually outside in the hallway still talking to somebody. Yep. So, but that's a nice tip. I like that. That's awesome, Dix. I have to say, I really do admire everything that both you and Rachel are doing. And I just admire everybody in the group and the growth. And I'm going to share with you, I'm just going to say too, you push me out of my box too. 2 times. This is the second time I've been involved in a Facebook Live challenge with you guys. This time I think I got it. And of course, with car rides, I found my spot, Dix.
Yep. That was fun. I saw a little bit of one today, so that was awesome.
But I mean, isn't that really the key, that you have to find the thing that feels right for you? You can't just do it because somebody like yourself who knows better and has been through it and it's worked for them suggests it. It has to, or if I say do it this way, you have to find the way that works for you, because when you do, then you can own it and move on, right?
Right. And that's actually one of the things we talked about on our podcast recently. I'll get it too.
Right. We don't know when it was. It was recent.
Right. It was recent. We were talking to Samantha Parker and Kathy Rasmussen of Badassery Magazine. And one of the things that they pointed out was, whatever you see out there, take whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a Facebook Live in the way that you do it. Whatever you see in business, take it and make it your own. Don't just copy somebody because it worked for them.
Right.
Make sure it's going to be your own personal thing that works for you.
Yes. And like I said, it's more than that. It's more than, I'm just going to take the minute because I really have just experienced this. It's more than intellectually giving some thought to, well, this person is doing this and this person is doing that. How can I do it and, still be effective, but make it my own? It's not just an intellectual observation. It's not just an intellectual decision. It's a gut thing. I mean, you guys we did the Facebook Live a year ago, the challenge, 30-day challenge in September, and I lasted 17 days, and I hated all 17 days, I'm going to tell you. I mean, it was I just felt so coming up with an idea. Like it was like, what is my idea today? And so the thing was about it was that I recognized that it wasn't going to be something that like Wendy had happened at the Target and the other woman had happened at the Lowe's, because I wasn't owning it. I was just like,
Mhm.
hi, here I am today, and this is the window treatment here, and la la la. And it was just like, whatever, who cares? You don't even care about what you're saying. Like, I just felt like I could feel that I didn't care, and who else was
Right.
going to care? And then you guys did it. I don't know why it came across my feed. This time, I think I saw it after the third or fourth day, but you were doing a 50-day Facebook Live challenge. And I don't know if it was you or somebody said they were doing it just Monday through Friday. You could do it every day in a row.
Mhm. I think that was me.
Was you, right? And I
Mhm.
was like, well, I could do Monday through Friday. And then I was like, I really can't do any of this. And I was like, Luann, line in the sand. You got to do it. It's enough. We got to do it. And so I was just like, that's it. And it was like it was just like, I just would not accept not doing it one more time. And I did it for the first, week or two. I've been doing it. And then the other day I had the genius thought to do it from my car. And you
Mhm.
see, it's not that I invented the wheel on doing it from my car. Ever since then, since I announced this 2 days ago that I'm going Facebook Live from my car every day, different people have messaged me on the post and privately going, "Oh, this one does it, and this one does it," like from different industries. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Well, I never said I invented it. I just said I felt like, oh my God, it's real." And not that they were trying to tell me that you didn't invent this. They were just showing me how it is a thing that people do it. And the point is that when I talk to you from my car, I'm like, okay, let's talk, let's do it,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it's so different. And so that's the other layer of the message is there's two things in there that if it weren't for your group, yours and Rachel's leadership, I would not have done it at all. And if it weren't for your group and your leadership and having these challenges, I wouldn't have pushed through the first 10 or 11 days of doing it to find that moment of clarity to go, this is where I can do this. And the thing is, at the end of the day, will it change my world? Will it make anything different in my business? I don't know. But what I know is that it feels right to me.
Mhm.
And then everything comes from doing something that feels authentic and right for you, right?
That's so wonderful to hear.
I'm telling you, Dix, you guys are changing lives. You're changing lives out there.
That's our goal. We want to build a community and I keep telling Rachel, we're going to take over the world. We're going to make it better one
That's
day
it.
at a time.
One designer being visible at a time, right? So no, I really do thank you for what you have added to my life and the friendship to my life. I value both of you so much. Rachel and Marietta were the first two people that ever came out to anything that I ever did.
I saw the pictures. I remember it.
Drove 5 hours to come meet me.
Yep.
I was just like, oh my goodness. And so, designer besties since then, her and Marietta. And so, but seriously, it's been a very, it's just been a very it's just been a really special thing to have this relationship grow over the internet and over Facebook and over podcasting land over these last couple of years. And so I really just want to say lastly to everybody listening that this, if you haven't heard it by now, you know that this is a valuable group. And if you're interested in being a part of this group, this design and style community, and their podcast is there and their membership is coming, is it design and style? How do you do your website? Is it a plus sign and give us the lowdown?
It's and. So if you're looking for our website is designandstylepodcast.com
A-N-D.
and
Yep.
and it is the same pretty much across any social media or anything else.
Okay, good. So you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook,
Mhm.
and of course you're in iTunes, and you're probably whatever Android users use, like
SoundCloud,
SoundCloud.
YouTube, because
Yes.
we do video.
Okay, that's awesome. Oh, Dixie, well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. You're a rock
Oh, it was an
star.
honor. It was an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I had such a nice time chatting with Dixie. And sometimes I forget when I'm talking to my friends that we are on a podcast. But don't you forget, because Dixie is one smart cookie and she takes her business very seriously. And the other thing is that she and Rachel take helping you earn visibility for your interior design firm very seriously too. But, they have a great time doing it. I will say that, with gifts galore in their posts, with moonshine and design, their challenges. But really, it's like the best teachers you ever had, the ones that made it so fun. You didn't even realize how much you were learning along the way. That's exactly how Rachel and Dixie deliver. Take a look at their Facebook group, Design and Style. If you are an interior designer, ask to join and see for yourself. Check out the designers there who have upped their visibility because of the guidance and encouragement that they're giving. You have Wendy Woloshock from Details First Full Service Interiors, Kay Bradshaw of Kay Bradshaw Interiors, Kim Barthelmess from Barthelmess Design. There's others too. It's crazy to watch what the designers are doing in this group, and you could be one of them. You could be somebody that a month from now is like killing it on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. So don't forget to go over and subscribe to their podcast too, Design and Style, because every week they're giving you more and more information and help. So do you want to meet one of your new designer besties in a mastermind group too? Well, you're in luck. I have at least one mastermind for certain that is launching the beginning of January 2018, and there might be two. We're getting so many signups. I may open up a second mastermind. So, remember, you do not have to live in the U.S. You can be wherever you are, the U.K., Australia, Italy, wherever you are. We'll meet by Zoom. But you do have to get in now, this week, okay, before the holidays come, because I've got to get the groups organized and get everybody signed up and agree on a time zone that we're going to meet. So if you are interested and you are really ready to make the first quarter of 2018 a really intentional quarter with accountability and insights and lessons and things to move your business along, then think about joining the mastermind with us. If you have questions on how it works, the best thing to do is email me at info@luannigara.com. info@LUANNIGARA.com. Because what we'll do is I will give you a phone call and we'll talk about it for a few minutes to just see if it's right for you. And I can give you all the details on how it works, what to expect, when we will meet, and of course the fees. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have an excellent day. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.